Hey, what's up everybody? This is my review of Marvel Select Magneto from Diamond Select Toys. And here's a look at the figure and packaging. You can see here Magneto is prominently displayed in the packaging, of course. In the background there is a very large, very detailed base, which I will go into more detail once I get the figure and the base outside of the packaging. On the side here you've got some nice artwork of Magneto. See there, and on the back you have a picture of the figure with the stand. You have a bio of Magneto. Most of you guys probably know about Magneto, and another look at some artwork there. Now, as you can see here, there is a unmasked variant, and one of the biggest complaints of these Marvel Select figures is when they have these additional heads, they package them with an entirely separate Magneto figure. So if you wanted to get the unmasked variant, you have to go out and buy the complete body and of course the head, which basically means you have to buy an entirely new figure. Really bad deal for us consumers, us toy collectors. I can see from the marketing perspective, from their company's perspective, obviously that's going to make them more money if you want to get the variant of the unmasked Magneto. But really, for us as collectors, that really is really a bad deal, and it's unfortunate because they could very simply include the head in the packaging somewhere here, and probably for not too much extra cost. If it meant being a $25 figure instead of a $21 figure, I would pay the extra $4 or $5 for that variant head. So it's unfortunate, and it's it is what it is, but it is unfortunate. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the figure outside a package and take a closer look at the base. Be right back. All right, so I don't often do size comparisons of packaging, but because the Marvel Select figures come in these huge plastic bubbles with lots of packaging, it's worth kind of pointing out. So you can see here on the left, here is a standard Marvel Legends Toy Biz package as compared to a Marvel Select Diamond Select Toys package. You can especially see the difference on the side and the width of the packaging there. But it's worth noting because of the noteworthy size of the packaging for the Marvel Select figures. And you can see the card back on Magneto is quite large, and perhaps as a more appropriate comparison, because more people probably have Marvel Universe than they do have the Marvel Legends Toy Biz, there's a packaging comparison there, as you can see. So before I continue on with the review of the actual figure and the base, I do want to point out the way that the figure was packaged. As you can see, here's the inner plastic tray, and the figure goes in here. But they got this little top plastic tray that sits over the top of the figure. The figure actually sits down here in this indented area here in the plastic. So there are no twisty ties or anything else holding it in. Just this single piece of plastic on top. So all you gotta do is take it off and take out the figure, and you are ready to pose and play with the figure. So really nice packaging. And finally, here is the base and the action figure you get once you open up all the packaging. And let's take a look at the base first. And this is a fantastic base. I'll do a little 360 rotation here. This is a big chunk of material. And I say material because I'm not sure what this base is made out of. It doesn't seem like it's plastic. I'll show you what's underneath there. It's kind of a different material, but whatever it is, it's a big chunk of it, and it's very nicely detailed, very nicely painted. Just the phenomenal amount of detail. This looks like real stone, real concrete. You've got damaged conduits here. You've got bits and pieces of other damaged parts here, as you can see. And of course you've got the Xavier Institute sign, and you've got this hand and arm sticking out of this rubble. Looks to be Colossus. Just based on the color. But you can also see there's two impressions here, one here and here. There's a peg hole right here, and this is obviously where you can place the Magneto figure on the base. So very nice, and wow, just for the base alone, this is really awesome. I like it. So with that said, let's move on to Magneto himself. Now, I measured him off camera. He's about just a little bit over 7 inches tall. So, a really nice sized figure. And very nicely detailed. Let's go ahead and look at the details first. Now, one of the things I first was concerned about, if you look at his face, and above his eyes, there's these creases, and they almost look like they're eyelashes. You know, that really kind of got me. I was like, that doesn't look right. But when I realized it was more like a furrowed brow, you know, where it's actually his eyelids, you know, there's like creases or wrinkles in his eyelid, or his eyelids are scrunched up because he's really mad. Then I realized, yeah, doesn't look too bad. But for some reason, I thought it looked like eyelashes, which really threw me off. So I almost put the figure down and didn't buy it because of that. But you've got the head sculpt there. Nicely defined, well sculpted upper body, as you can see. And you can get him into like this pose here where he's using his magnetic powers. Moving down to the pelvic area and the legs. See there. The cape itself, as you can see, is very, very nicely sculpted out of this, you know, soft, semi-soft, flexible plastic. You got these, you know, creases that are sculpted into the plastic. Really, really nice. Creates a lot of depth and some shadowing just because of the way the light hits the folds in his cape. Really fantastic. Now, articulation. The articulation is going to be pretty good, although it's not going to be comparable to the Marvel Legends Toy Biz Magneto. And let's just get into the articulation. The head can go around. Sorry about that. Let me adjust the camera height here. The head can go around. You can kind of move his head in a up and down position like that, but there's not quite the range that some other figures have. Now, he has ball hinged shoulders. However, because of the way the cape comes over the shoulder here, you're not going to get a whole lot of range of articulation. I mean, the articulation's there, but the range of articulation is going to be hampered by the cape. And I guess I should mention the cape itself is basically, you know, sculpted onto his upper body. There's no peg system where it's pegged into his back or front, you know, so you can't take it off, but, you know, why would you want to take it off anyway? So, you know, he's got to have the cape really to be Magneto, in my opinion. So yeah, ball hinge shoulders, swivel and a bend at the elbow. You do have wrist articulation like that. There is a hinge joint, so it can go, you know, in a little bit and out a little bit, but I don't want to stress the joint there. It looks very fragile. There is no ab articulation, but you do have nice waist articulation. And they've done it in a way that there's not a lot of overhang of plastic as you move the waist around or the upper body. So you do have, you know, basically articulation there, but it's really nice. The one really outstandingly bad example of waist articulation, in my opinion, is the Marvel Legends Toy Biz Juggernaut, where he has a whole chunk of plastic hanging off if you turn him about like that. So I really like how they did the waist. It's almost like they did it above where normally you'd have waist articulation, which is nice because it prevents a lot of, I guess, plastic from hanging off if he's turned to the side either direction. So he does have articulation at the hips, and there's a joint there, as you can see. I think you might be able to rotate this ball. Yep, you can rotate this around so that the joint faces the direction you want to articulate the leg in. So you do have that option. Plus you have a thigh swivel, a double jointed knee, as you can see there, bends in 2 places. And then you have a swivel and a bend at the ankle. So, and he stands relatively well on his own. See if I can demonstrate that here. Yeah, see, there you go. So you don't need the base. But let me see if I can get him in his base here. Well, before I do that, let me show you a comparison with Magneto's Marvel Legend Toy Biz counterpart. The difference in articulation, from what I can see just in the packaging, the Marvel Legends Toy Biz one here in package has a double jointed elbow. This version of Magneto has the ab articulation. Of course, he has waist articulation, ball jointed hips or ball hinged hips. But then this particular Magneto has basically a swivel or a cut joint right there in the middle of the thigh. And then also it appears he has, if you look at where the top of his boot meets the leg, right about there, there actually appears to be a joint there as well. Plus, he's also got toe articulation. So there are differences between the Marvel Select and Marvel Legends in terms of articulation. So that's something to be aware of if you're not already aware of that. That's generally been the case. I mean, the Marvel Selects tend to be, I think they tend to be larger figures than the Marvel Legend Toy Biz, but they do have less articulation. So it kind of depends on your preference in that regard. So final thoughts on Marvel Select Magneto. Well, one of the things, as I pointed out earlier, is the articulation is not as great as the Marvel Legend Toy Biz Magneto. However, this guy makes up for it in terms of size. I measured it roughly, and the Marvel Select Magneto is roughly about 1 inch to 2 inches taller than the Marvel Legends Toy Biz Magneto. That's a rough estimate, obviously, because I still have the Marvel Legend Toy Biz Magneto in package, but about 1 inch, inch and a half, maybe even 2 inches taller. And it's a nice figure. Actually, it doesn't really bother me that he has less articulation, because this is all I really need a Magneto to do, is to stand with his hands in the air like that, using his magnetic powers. So, and everything else is really nicely detailed with the sculpting, with the cape, and the paint apps are really good. So I would recommend you pick it up if you find it, especially if you like Magneto. And if you can't find the Marvel Legends Toy Biz Magneto, this would be definitely, in my opinion, a good alternative. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and this has been my review of Marvel Select Magneto by Diamond Select Toys.